Hey y'all, what's up? I just want to give a shout out to Petty Tupac TV. Make sure you go smash, like, and don't forget to subscribe. For real, for real.
What do you think about Jeff Ford? I know he indicted for like terroristic. Was he really a pillar in the community, or you seen he got the money from the government, misused it? What's your take on him? Was he really for the people, or was he out for self? Like, what's real?
I think he was out for his mob. I'm not gonna say he was out for the people. I can't really say because I'm from the opposite mob, so I don't know. But from the outside looking in, he looked out for his people. All his people was prosperous. They was getting money and this type of stuff back then. We was known the GDs. We weren't really getting that much money back then. We was known for more being like we had the numbers and terrorizing, but not on the level that they was on. You get what I'm saying? So he was on some, and then this some people don't know, and this is what I learned later on. My big cousin schooled me to this: the GDs, the BDs, all these gangs, they was all one gang at one time. The P Stones, they was all up under Jeff Ford. He had a gang called Main 21, where he had the 21 main gangs from Chicago. All you can Google this, all in one clique. It just so happened that David Barksdale, King Shorty, and Larry Hoover broke off from there and started their own shit, which became the Black Disciple, the Black Gangster Disciples. That's originally what the name was. You get what I'm saying? It's changed to the BDs and the GDs now, but it's really Black Gangster Disciple. You know what I'm saying? That's what it. That's the origin of it. And
What
then when
made?
huh?
Go ahead. Go. Oh no. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Then when David died, King Shorty, who was the leader of the BDs, chief of the BDs, and King Hoover, who's the chief of the GDs, they couldn't get along, and that's where the separation came in. So that's where it been from BGD to just BDs and GDs. You get what I'm saying? That's where
Right.
the split happened.
What made 7-4 Gangster? What made them grow and be so prosperous as far as numbers, opposed to Vice Lords and P Stones, like GDs everywhere, but you ain't gonna find P Stones everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Or even on the prison yard, not gonna be a whole bunch of them, but it's a whole bunch of GDs. What happened? What's the difference? Y'all had rappers or what?
No, we outnumbered them greatly. I mean, we had way more numbers than them. So naturally, with migration and spread, we would probably spread more than them. You know what I'm saying? They was more organized than us. You know what I mean? Then you got to think the P Stones in California is that blood set is a spinoff from them. You know what I mean? So they
Mm-hmm.
did spread. You know what I mean? One of the biggest blood sets in Cali, which was formed by a guy named T. Rogers, who's original P Stone from Chicago. You get what I'm saying? You know, and got permission from Jeff to start that out there and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So that's like I said, I just think it was more of us and more of us spread out. Like going to college, different things like that. Because you got to remember, it's GDs who's in school, GDs who never went to school. It's all types of GDs and P Stones. So what happens is, say you go to college, you go to some little city like Columbus, Ohio. You see how sweet it is. You come back and tell your family, like, hey man, it's sweet up there. We need to get up there. We need to do this, that, and other because it's good up there. And then that's where we come in and all us start going up there. You know what I mean? And then, because like I said, when I left Detroit at 16, not like left, but I'm talking about I started going to Ohio to make my money. You get what I'm saying? Columbus. And like I said, I've been locked up there, so all this shit is documented. We had to hold Columbus, Detroit boys had to hold Columbus on lockdown. But guess what happened when I got there? I ran into Chicago cats who had heroin. Some GD Chicago cats who had heroin who was up there already too. And I just seen already like, man, guys from these type of city, they travel. You know what I mean? Like Meese did basically with BMF. You know what I mean? Anywhere we go, once we get this tool list from where we from, it puts us light years ahead of where we going. They not moving like us. See, we go against black people. It's black on black. Everything we do, we have to do against each other. You know what I'm saying? These other cities, they go to school with Chinese and Mexicans and this, and they can't be as sharp as us because they're not going against the best of the best. When we go to school, we going against each other. So that's like giving us. We start off at a young age. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody like us. I'm just being real. So, like I said, that gives us an advantage when we go to other places because it's like, man, the numbers, they numbers, they population, like we're predominantly that's a predominantly black city. The South Side of Chicago is predominantly black. Just certain neighborhoods, New York, maybe in Brooklyn or somewhere where it's a lot of black people, wherever, in Atlanta, wherever we go, where it's a bunch of black people, they're gonna be sharper than black people that grew up with all other races because they have it easier than what we have it. You know what I mean? Like I'm out here on the West Coast now, they got jobs everywhere. There's no opportunity like that in Michigan. I mean, it's jobs everywhere. I'm talking about you could start off making $1,500 a week doing nothing, just working at a hotel, cleaning up or some shit. I'm just talking about this how good they treat. I'm like, man, I can see how they putting the squeeze on my community. I can see how we not getting the opportunity to make no choice but the choice that we make a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Because of the situation we in. But I'm gonna tell you this. This is why I became a Mo. I was talking to a guy, and he was like, "Man, I'm gonna tell you something." He was like, "If you want to study somebody's great, don't study them. Study what they study." You see what I'm saying? So I had a lot of respect for Jeff Ford, and I knew a lot of his teachings came from the science. So I looked at it from a scientific point of view, nationality and all this. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go in there and see what they teach. And if you apply the science to life, life becomes easy. The prophet laid it down. It's just a lot of people don't know how to apply it. But he laid it down. Peace be on the Noble Drew Ali and the forerunner Marcus Garvey. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is so when I learned them teachings, I was like, wow. You know what I mean? You know, when I got the jewels and the 101s and all that type of stuff and start studying that stuff, and I studied it different because I had been in the streets or growing up around street stuff my whole life, and my family was in the streets too. So I studied it different than a lot of people. I really knew that this was something I wanted to understand what was going on. I liked how they rotate. When I was in the feds, when we had our meetings or whatever, everybody got a chance to speak. It was no big eyes and little U's. Even though this guy might be the elected Grand Sheik, if you got something you want to expound on today, bro, go ahead and expound on that. Share that knowledge with us. You know what I mean? And that's what I really grabbed. Like, I was like, wow, this is deep. Everybody get to rotate and get up here if they want to say something, you know, just different things like that. But I'm going to tell you, the science is real important. And like I said, if you notice a lot of people in Detroit, which I didn't know until after, all the greats, almost all of them was scientists too. Almost all of them was more. So I'm like, man, you know what I mean? Then when I started doing the research and found out that the nation and the 5%ers and all this is the sons of the moles, I'm like, man, whoa, this is deep. So the people that I respect is speaking good or whatever, even on the other end, that they trace back to that. I'm talking about Malcolm X and different people like that. You know what I'm saying? So just doing my research and, you know, understanding different things. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I would tell anybody, you know what I mean? If you apply science to life, and that's what it is, the numbers and all that type of stuff and the science of it, it becomes easy.
Yeah, everything you said, all facts. I want to backtrack a little bit. Just we gonna.
Okay,
I want to touch on Chicago a little.
Okay.
Did T. Rogers have a name in Chicago when you was growing up?
No,
because people said he got ran out or something.
No, I don't know about that. I don't really believe that. And I'm gonna tell you why. Even though he didn't have a name, I'm sure the Stones knew him, Jeff Ford them, his people. But I'm gonna say why I don't believe he got ran out of Chicago. Because Jeff Ford openly said he could start when he started out there on the West Coast, one. And two, when he got out there, he had a fight with Tookie Stokes, who was way bigger than him, which earned him a lot of respect from the people who decided to run behind him. You get what I'm saying? So for him not to run for Tookie, this old muscle-bound, weightlifting type of guy, you know what I'm saying? You know, that shows, you know, some type of level, or, you know, and I don't think he could have held down the jungle and had that type of respect and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't think he got ran up out of there. You know what I'm saying? I think he just moved like me. I'm going to tell you, I got tricked out of Chicago. And I'm going to explain to you how I got tricked out of Chicago. My mother knew I was heavy into what I was into. So she had got on drugs real bad. And she wanted to, like, I guess, save me or whatever, or this, that, and other. So she told me, hey, man, you got to go up to Detroit to visit your father and your grandparents and all them up there. You know what I mean? You go every summer. It's time for you to go up there. So I'm like, okay. I didn't really want to go. But I'm like, okay, I'll go. So I go up there. And when it's time to go back to school, I'm sitting down with my grandma eating, and I'm like, man, okay, I'm not even interested in school, but I'm playing. I'm like, hey, grandma, school starts in a couple of days, so when am I going back to Chicago? And she was like, you don't know? Your mother didn't tell you? I'm like, tell me what? She was like, you no longer live in Chicago. You live in Detroit now. You live with us. Your mother, the project house that y'all had in the projects, that's gone. She got evicted. You know what I mean? She's not even in Chicago right now. She's in New Jersey, your mother. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, wow. My whole life changed right before my face. I'm stuck in Detroit. I'm 14 years old. And in Chicago, I'm somebody. You get what I'm saying? I'm really somebody. But now I'm on the east side of Detroit, staying with my grandparents. My brother and them stay on the west side. I'm like, man, this is. And then when I go to high school, I end up in one of the worst high schools in Detroit and don't know nobody. You know how that is going to school. I don't know not one person in the school. So I'm like, wow. But I grew up in Chicago and it's rough and this, that, and other, and I know how to move. When I go to school, kids in Detroit, they got on silk shirts and Calvin Klein jeans and Bally shoes and alligator briefcases. I'm from Chicago. All we wore was starter jackets and Levi's and some Nikes. So to them, I'm a bum. But that's good because the bums don't get no attention. I don't need no attention right now. I need to figure out my way, how I'm going to make it. You know what I'm saying? Because they got 2020, which was in my school. And, man, I seen them the first day beat the shit out of motherfucker. Beat them, no guards, nobody, saved them or whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm seeing that this is not a joke. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to figure it out. So coming in, not being the flyest guy, kind of going up under the radar. You know what I mean? But then I could play basketball in the park. It was right across the street from my grandma's house. I started playing at the park with the guys from the neighborhood from East Jefferson. And they kind of slowly started to take a liking to me. And that's how I got in and started going to school with them and this, that, and other. And the rest was history after that.
What age did you jump off the porch?
12.
Damn, 12?
But see, you got to understand something. My whole family was GDs. So I was already banging GDs since I've been 7, 8 years old. Even though I wasn't really official, I was already knew this is what I was going to do. In Chicago, I already knew I was going to be a GD. Everybody in the family, I can't wait till I'm an official GD. And that's how the C-Note started. They started because there was so many young niggas that wanted to be GDs, basically, that the nigga who was calling shots over there, the brother who was calling shots over there, was like, I'm going to start another clique. We the Pico gang. Y'all can't be Pico gang. Y'all going to be the C-Note gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of them end up being crackheads and dope fiends, a lot of the Pico gang. So now if you know anything about 39, you only hear about the C-Notes. But it originally started with the Picos. You get what I'm saying? And then the C-Notes was the little brothers to them.
I gotta ask you this because you're from Chicago. Growing up, did you try Sherm?
Hell no. Wasn't no water around my hood growing up.
Oh, okay. Because
Okay, wasn't no water.
I be seeing memes of like the Vice Lords or whatever, and they like, I know a Vice Lord when I see one. They got the Sherm stick right there or whatever. They got
them. I'm gonna tell you, there wasn't a lot of Vice Lords around either. So that might be some out west shit, because the west side is like another whole city from the south side. It's sort of like the east side and the west side of Detroit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like a lot of people from the west don't hang on the east, and a lot of people from the east don't hang on the west. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Exactly. It's changing now with the rappers and shit, but when I grew up, it was a lot of static from both sides.
When you was in Detroit, when did you start to get in the streets and start hustling?
I was going to King. My daddy owned a car wash out on 8 Mile. You know what I'm saying? And so everybody, all the young guys was coming in there with 4Runners and Cherokees and all types of cars. You start seeing that shit. And you start like, damn, I want to do this. Fuck washing these cars for my dad at his hand car wash or whatever. I want to do that. So I started meeting different guys. And I met a guy from 8 Mile who had a spot over there on the east side because his cousin was from the east side and he needed some workers. So I was like, look, man, I'll get you some work. I went to school. I was like, I'll get you some workers, but you got to let me pay the workers. So he was like, okay, cool. So I went to school, found some guys who I knew wanted to work. And I was like, look, man, I'll give y'all $250 a week if y'all go work this spot after school. The guy would give me $300. So every worker that guy would just take 50 off for they bag for me for finding them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That was just my fine because they was hungry and wanted to make some money at this, that, and that. So I'm plugging you into some 250 was a lot of money back then. So everybody was happy, So that's how it started. You know what I mean? From a hand car wash, the type of people that come in there, meeting a guy or two, and then the guy asking me something about over there where I go to school at. Do I know anybody over there that want to work?
Y'all was selling hard or what?
Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Dimes.
And at this time, when you get into the game, what cliques is popping up? In Detroit or on the East Side or wherever.
You got the Chamber Brothers, you got the Curry Boys, you got the Best Friends. You know what I'm saying? You got Demetrius, them, you got Maserati. Everybody's popping. It's the heyday. It's that time. You know what I mean? Everybody's popping.
How did you know about all these cliques and there wasn't no social media?
It was the East Side. It was just like you just talk to when you're in the game. You know different people in the game. You just start hearing stuff. Like a lot of these guys went to King too. Like I told you originally, a lot of these guys went to King. So by going to King, you kind of knew you like say you be in lunchroom. Then the Van Dyke guys, then the Cross Gratiot guys, then the King Home guys, then the East Jefferson guys, then the guys from over there by deeper Van Dyke. Even if some few people came from 7 Mile, you just would know the different little cliques from going to school. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, you start hearing about it. Oh, the friends took one of the Van Dyke boys' lamb today. You know what I mean? You just hear these stories going around and you start, putting 2 and 2 together.
What was King an academic school when you was going?
It changed while I was there. It was just a rough school. They kicked out everybody like my sophomore year and started the MSAT program and made it a good, smart school. But originally, it was nothing but crazy. The school was nothing but crazy. They had locks on every door. It's like that Joe Carter story, Lean on Me or something. The doors was like there's only 1 or 2 ways in and out. It was crazy when I first got there.
Damn. Okay, so you hustling, you selling money, not selling money, but you recruiting workers. When did you start to see your first real money, and what was you doing? Was you copping more, or was you just working for somebody? What was going on?
What happened was me and my father got into it. I met this girl. We were staying off on East 7 Mile over there on Keystone with my sister. And so me and my dad got into it because he gave me $3 to go to the corner store on 7 Mile Keystone to get him a pack of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me all pennies. It was wintertime. I didn't want to walk past. So I'm like, man, look, Pops, the girl who worked at this store, you know what I mean? I'd be talking to her on the phone. I can't go in here with no $3 worth of pennies. You know what I mean? This, that, and other. He was like, man, get your ass down the store and get me some cigarettes. So I told my sister, I said, this is it. I'm gone. So instead of having people work the spots at this point, remember I told you that people working the spot and stuff, I just called the guy. I was like, man, I need some work for the spot. He was like, for what? You got another worker? I was like, no, I'm going to work it. He was like, you going to work it? I'm like, yeah. So I went over there and I started living in the spot 24 hours a day for about 30 days working it myself. You know what I mean? So that's how I really got heavy into it. I was like, I wasn't finna embarrass myself in front of that chick that I like. So I just like, fuck it. My dad's on crack. You know what I mean? I'm not finna keep living like this. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go ahead and move on and do what I gotta do. The next time he saw me, I had $10,000. You know what I mean? Shocked his ass.